financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is how to stay in business when facing too much debt. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. It is not an uncommon theme these days, how people try to stay in business when they're loaded with debt.
If you're in business, you typically want to stay in business. Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken. Great to be here.
Nick Sorelli, how are you?
Good morning, Ken. Good to be here.
The only one who's in business who would like to get out is me. So, just to put it in perspective, 3-point retirement plan, because we want this to be the overriding goal when you direct yourself to your strategies when it comes to finance. You want to get to the point where you own your home free and clear. Zero debt, cash in the bank. Those simple 3 things to be accomplished by the time you're ready to retire means you will be able to retire. If you think you can retire just by virtue of getting old and qualifying for Social Security, when you have a mortgage payment, 2 car payments, and some credit card payments, you're dreaming. Because the sum of those 3 things is always going to be over $6,000, and the retirement benefit in Social Security is typically how much?
Well, it depends. I see people that have $1,200 a month now, $1,500 a month. There's some people that have $3,500, $4,000.
$2,500 around is the current average.
It's not enough. Let's put it that way.
You're way short, and you can't fund it. But if you have no mortgage payment, and you have no car payments, and you have no debt payments, you're paying utilities, real estate taxes, food, don't drive a lot right now, and gas. And you're fine. You can make it. So, now let's talk about problems businesses face. Okay, I'm going to summarize what I see as the problems when a business comes into me and they're struggling. They owe the bank and they can't pay. They have credit card debt and they can't pay it. They're often behind in payroll taxes, and they're tapped out on any credit from their suppliers, so they're COD on anything they want to buy.
I'm going to add one more that you don't have on that list. The owners of the business have personally guaranteed almost all of the debt associated with the business. So they have exposed themselves on the business side and on their personal side. And they're looking for solutions on how to clean it up.
Let me cover that with you too. Number one, on bank debt, 90% of the time on bank credit lines and so forth to small businesses, the owners have personally guaranteed. The question is have both spouses guaranteed or only one of the spouses as to the ownership of the business? If you're behind on payroll taxes, the trust fund portion of the taxes will be assessed again. On federal, the trust fund portion will be assessed against you personally. On state, the entire amount gets assessed against you.
So it's sort of the secret personal guarantee.
Yeah. So you're right, Brian.
And on payroll taxes are non-dischargeable debt in bankruptcy.
Right.
They can be dealt with in Chapter 13 bankruptcy, but you can't wipe them out in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
All right, so let's talk about possible solutions. Let's talk about tax problems first.
Yep.
What are the issues on payroll tax? When we talk about someone behind on payroll taxes, what are we saying?
They haven't timely made their federal tax deposits for the federal withholding, the Social Security, the Medicare portion that's withheld. Well, the whole thing. There's an employer share and the part you withhold from your employees.
So you pay your payroll. Your employees get their net check deposited into your account,
Right.
and then you've deducted federal withholding, state withholding, Medicare, and FICA from their check.
Right.
And you also, as an employer, have to match the FICA and the Medicare.
Right.
And you do that by making federal tax deposits. But when the time comes to make the federal tax deposit, you're short on cash in the bank, and instead of making the deposit, you say, I will make that deposit. I'll catch up next week.
Right.
And then what happens?
Then they have to pay a supplier that comes in and they redirect the money and they never catch up. And meanwhile, the debt on payroll taxes is like the fastest multiplying debt you can have. It gets out of control before they even blink.
And how people slip into it is, it's so, once you do it, it's so easy. You do it by doing nothing. You do it by not paying. You have to affirmatively pay the tax, either using your service that pays it and you fund the money into the account, or if you're doing it yourself, you have to go online and make the deposit. But you amass a payroll tax deposit by doing nothing, not doing what you're supposed to do. But the consequence is a big problem.
There is a question that I get asked all the time: by employees, does that affect the employee? So when you're a W-2 employee, the answer is no. The employer is responsible, but it doesn't affect your retirement and your Social Security down the road.
Your contribution into the Social Security fund is still considered to have been made because the W-2s are filed,
right,
and so forth. Thank God for that, because that would be a real punishment to the employees.
Employees that get paid, or contractors that get paid by 1099, are responsible for their own deposits, their own taxes, and a lot of times employees fudge that. They get confused about that. Yeah, but they consider, there's a lot of litigation and debate going on right now. A lot of employers classify people as independent contractors that are, according to the law, legally employees. It's a whole different thing.
This is another big issue. The employer likes to do that. There's two people. The employee kind of likes to do that because he doesn't want taxes withheld from him. Right. The employer likes to do it because they are then not paying the employer's share of the payroll taxes. The problem with that, and I see it all the time, is the test of whether a person is an independent contractor or an employee is not based upon the label you put on them. Right. It's based upon the degree of control the employer exercises over the person in the work environment. If you're supposed to go to work every day, work full time, you follow the directions of your employer, you're an employee, regardless of what your employer says and calls you a 1099. We'll take a break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
So how old should your grandsons be before they can spend their inheritance on their own?
Thanks, Grandma. Yeah, thanks, Grandma. This car's awesome. Thanks, Grandpa. We got 2.
35. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled.
Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. So on that topic, that's a very dangerous employer practice because the employees can go to the government and say, hey, I was an employee, not an independent contractor. And then the government comes in and audits the employer and says you have to pay in all the payroll taxes you didn't pay plus penalty and interest, which is a massive problem. So I always tell clients, do not 1099 your employees. You've got to withhold taxes and treat them like employees. That's the only way. If you're going to run a business, you run it correctly or do not run the business.
Right.
It's that simple. So, payroll taxes, how do you solve the payroll tax problem? I'm behind 4 quarters. I owe $65,000 in payroll taxes.
Okay. So
4
we solve
quarters.
it.
How about 3 years?
We solve it with.
Happens all the time.
We solve it with an installment payment plan of some kind. And what is important though is you have to be current in the current pay period, which means you can have debt and we'll resolve that, but you have to fix your problem by staying current and file your returns on time and pay your current payroll taxes.
And you need those documents to show to the collection officer that it's happening.
Yes, because that is the key to the program that gets you an installment plan. If you're not current, they won't help you.
Let's head down a different road here for a second. A lot of times, the business starts doing this at the end of the business's life because they're trying to keep the business open and they're borrowing from Peter, Paul, and Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Stage 4 cancer. Go ahead.
And the business is not going to stay open. So now the business eventually, in spite of whatever efforts the owners have done, closes. This tax debt, which they've been assessed personally for, is non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. Can it be wiped out through an offer and compromise? Or
potentially, yeah. So if you're talking about trust fund penalty or civil penalty, which is the portion of the payroll tax debt that gets assessed against the owner individually. So that at that point it becomes that person's individual debt, not.
So you can do an offer and compromise if you qualify.
If you qualify for the offer and compromise, you can do. There's lots of things that we'll do. We can do an offer and compromise. If you're in serious financial trouble, we can get maybe not collectible status. We can do an installment payment plan. We look at things and we try and leverage the statute of limitations on collection.
How long is that statute?
That's 10 years from an assessment. And now you have to know that you've been assessed and an audit would change that date.
But here's a problem with that. And you see it all the time. The client who comes in, it's not always the situation where you have thrown all of your savings into the company so that you, at the point where the company's going under, you don't have any equity left in your house, you've got your own personal credit card debt, and you have zero cash in the bank, you're broke. If that's the case, and you end up getting assessed with a trust fund penalty, you can do an offer and compromise.
Right.
But sometimes the company starts to flounder, but the owners still have equity in their home, they have some savings and they have some assets, but now the company's about to go under and they're looking at dealing with a trust fund assessment, and they're looking at the bank coming after them for the bank debt that's owed, and the credit card companies are going to sue. How do you then protect what they still have even if the business is going to go under?
So a lot of the times, from my standpoint, it depends on who the lender is. If the lender is Uncle Sam, it's a lot harder to protect and quote unquote legally hide the money. But if the lender is a bank, the lender is a third party,
credit card companies,
there are ways to insulate. your assets.
So in that situation, before we get to insulating the assets, what does that say to you and what does that say to us when we're trying to manage that problem? What it says to me is when I have the client in that situation and we know the company's going to go down, we need to take the money that we have before it goes down and pay off the things that we're most exposed on. We need to pay the trust fund portion of the taxes, not all the taxes, just the trust fund.
And you can direct the
you can do it
direct
by
the money towards a
specifically.
specific.
You can direct as long as you're still voluntary paying. Once you get into levies or seizures or you're in an installment payment plan, the government directs where it
So you
goes.
need to be ahead of the game and you need to follow the procedure to apply the taxes to the trust fund portion. You don't just send them the check or make the depository online. And you also, on the state, you need to get the state paid because those taxes get assessed against you. Those become the first priorities, even ahead of the bank with the personal guarantee. So you've got to watch your steps. But it can get more complicated. What if the bank has a second mortgage on your home and they can foreclose? Well, then maybe you need to get the bank paid off even before you deal with the taxes, and you have to see where you're at. That's one scenario. Then another scenario is, what about the client that comes to you, similar facts, but they're only 50, and they want to start a new business, or they want to start the same business they're in, but they want to start it as a new business to get rid of that debt.
So
is there a way of doing that?
Quite often there is. A lot of times what we will do is literally put old business into a bankruptcy, wipe out the debt from the business standpoint, and then open up a parallel business at the same time that does the exact same thing. Because as long as you can draw the line in the sand that the lender can't cross, because if you didn't file a bankruptcy and you open up a new company that does the same thing as the old company, the argument is that the new company is a successor to the old company, and you get a judgment against the old company, you just get it applied to the new company. But when you draw a line in the sand by putting a company through a bankruptcy, the line is, you can't cross it.
So you can start the new company, but what about the personal debt that you have?
So personal debt may require a personal bankruptcy. Company requires a bankruptcy, individual requires a
What if
bankruptcy.
you have assets?
So then if you have assets now, you started your new company, and your assets you're going to have to try and, if you can't protect them in bankruptcy, you're going to have to try and protect them in a non-bankruptcy fashion.
And when we get back from the break, you'll tell us how to do that.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Fav Gross today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Fav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Time for announcements. I want to announce Thav Gross has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, Thav Gross, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
If your loved one is struggling with age-related issues, let our family help your family. Call Simasko Law now. We're family-owned and growing. Meet Joe Frizard and Kelsey Simasko, our newest superstars. We'll handle your issues with care, compassion, and dedication. At Simasko Law, we'll leave no stone unturned until your family is protected for the long term. We'll walk together. That's what families do. Simasko Law. Protect what matters.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So I want to go to you to say, how do you then protect the assets? But before we do, there is an important point when it comes to a business that's suffering. If the business cannot make it because you cannot generate adequate sales volume to pay your payroll taxes, pay your help, and make a living, then you need to do something different. Because going forward and just repeating the same problem doesn't solve the problem, doesn't implement the 3-point retirement plan. You just flounder. So in your words, you need to know when to hold them or fold them.
Right.
And that's an important, you kind of look like
Thank you, Kenny Rogers.
Jimmy Rogers. Kenny Rogers. You got that Kenny Rogers look.
I got to trim the beard then.
Do you want to give us the hold them and fold them
Do you want me to
voice?
sing?
No,
Yeah.
please, God,
No,
don't
no,
sing.
you don't want me to
Please
Okay,
don't sing.
so how do you go? I was hoping you would. All right, so how do you? I know you play guitar,
That's different
not to me.
than singing.
So you probably sing to yourself. And so, or in the room by yourself when you're alone. What do you start a new business? You still have this debt, but you've got $300,000-$400,000 worth of net worth that you saved. How do you protect? Can you protect it?
So understand that if you are in that position where you have a whole bunch of debt associated with an old company that you've personally guaranteed, and you still have money, so to speak, in the bank, consider that if you owed somebody $20 and you left a $20 bill sitting on your kitchen table and they're sitting across from you, they just can go take it, right? I mean, it's not the right thing to do. You should be paying them back.
If you're owed the $20, though, it's
they're going to take
for them to take it.
It's
is the right
awfully
thing.
easy, right? Yeah. But if the $20 is in your wallet, it's harder for them to get to. If
It's a little bit improper to go and
if the
steal it out of your
$20
wallet.
is in your safe, it's even harder to get to.
You won't get charged with any sexual molestation claims by breaking into the safe as
The
opposed
more-
to
But
taking
if
it
the
out of your
$20
back
is in
pocket.
your
That's
safe
true.
and your safe is in another
I think the
building,
safe
it's
is
even
safer.
harder to get to.
But the more difficult you make it for the creditor to get to the money,
A shell game,
the better off you are. Not a shell game, but
a shell plan.
a shell plan. Because the key here is right now your assets are available to be.
So how do you make them unavailable?
We use corporate structures. We use estate planning tools. We use
Secret
different-
soup. It's
Yeah.
the secret
It's-
soup
but,
mix.
but it is a
It's
secret
the legal
soup mix.
version of those Russian dolls that you take the top off and then there's
but-
another
but-
one
but-
and you take, and then by the end you get this little tiny
Okay,
thing
yeah.
because that's all that's
All
left.
right, so understand.
We use limited liability companies. We use companies in different states. We have methodologies to do this.
I want you to understand something, that creditors' attorneys, your General Visa, MasterCard, they sue, they get a judgment, and then they try to collect through ordinary methods, sending out garnishments,
Garnishing your state tax refund.
garnishing your bank accounts,
Wages.
and they try and garnish your wages. But if you're self-employed, you're not going to honor a garnishment. If the bank account isn't in your name, but it's in a different company's name, they're not going to honor it. You can only garnish distributions from an LLC in Michigan.
It's what we call the exhaustion theory.
It's actually, I call it the low-hanging fruit theory. Creditors' attorneys, in general, are seeking the easiest methodology to collect the money. The harder you make it to collect the money, the less likely it is they're going to go after you, and they're going to go after the next guy. And it's the apple orchard theory. Where is all the good fruit? The top of the tree. What don't you see in an apple orchard?
Ladders.
That's right. So
That's good for me.
you're going to climb. Instead, you got to climb up through the tree to get to the best fruit. There are some lenders out there that will do that and pursue it.
I have an important question that I can't not ask. Are there really no ladders in an orchard?
There really are no ladders in an apple orchard
Why?
because they don't want you climbing up a ladder and falling down and breaking your neck.
Okay. I just did it. That makes sense. So it's because of the lawyers that there are no ladders.
But the whole point is that the more difficult you make it for the lender to continue to pursue you, the less likely it is that they're going to get the money. Now,
So-
some of them might.
Yeah,
They
it's
might
not-
figure out a methodology. As I like to say, superheroes are bulletproof. And that's what we're trying to do, make you bulletproof. But Superman's still allergic to kryptonite.
Yeah. So it's not
Nothing's perfect.
It's not perfect, but it's a strategy that typically works, and it's an avenue of last resort. This is not what you want. This is what you need to do given that scenario.
It's the
that you want to restart a new business, but you have creditors, you're not right for a bankruptcy, you can't get rid of the debt that way, but you have assets that you want to protect. You have to put them in a position where they are the difficult fruit to attack.
Absolutely, 100%. You versus them, and you want to win.
So key points. One, you need to know when to hold them or fold them. I think that's an important thing. You need to take steps if your business is floundering. Just not paying the payroll taxes is the absolute worst thing you can do. On that note, we'll say have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.